What if I told you the reason you feel so emotionally exhausted is not because you care too much, it's because you've spent years teaching people that your peace is less important than theirs? Let me ask you something. When was the last time you said yes, even though your heart was screaming no? When was the last time you stayed quiet, just to avoid disappointing someone, or apologized for something that wasn't even your fault? If these questions feel uncomfortable, it is because they are pointing toward a truth most people never see. You think you're being kind, but what if you have slowly been disappearing, one compromise at a time? The Buddha taught that suffering does not begin when someone rejects you. It begins the moment you reject yourself, to be accepted by someone else. Tonight, you will discover 5 powerful Buddhist truths that reveal why people-pleasing quietly steals your identity, why saying no feels almost impossible, and why the final lesson may completely change the way you see yourself forever. Because the greatest loss in life is not losing someone else, it is losing yourself while trying to keep everyone else. The day you traded your peace for other people's approval, have you ever looked back at your life and wondered, when did I stop being myself? Not because you suddenly changed overnight, not because one terrible event completely transformed you, but because one day you realized something felt different. You smiled, but it no longer felt natural. You laughed, but something inside remained strangely quiet. You spent your days surrounded by people, yet at the end of each day, you felt completely alone. Many people believe this feeling appears without a reason. The Buddha taught something very different. He taught that every form of suffering has a beginning. Nothing appears out of nowhere. Every tree begins with a seed. Every river begins with a small stream. And every loss of self begins with one silent decision that most people never notice. The strange part is, you probably never made that decision consciously. No child enters the world believing, "My happiness does not matter." No child is born thinking, "I must earn love by making everyone else happy." When you were very young, you simply wanted to be loved, to be accepted, to feel safe. These are natural human desires. There is nothing wrong with them. The problem begins when your young mind quietly reaches the wrong conclusion. Perhaps people smiled when you stayed quiet. Perhaps they praised you when you agreed with them. Perhaps they called you a good person because you never complained. Maybe every time you sacrificed your own feelings, someone rewarded you with approval, without realizing it. Your mind began collecting these moments like precious treasures. Little by little, it created a rule. If people are pleased with me, I will be loved. If everyone is comfortable, I will be accepted. If nobody is disappointed, I will finally feel worthy. At first, this belief feels harmless. In fact, it even looks beautiful. People admire those who are kind. They respect those who are patient. They appreciate those who are generous. These qualities are deeply respected in Buddhist teachings. The Buddha never discouraged compassion. He encouraged limitless compassion. But there is a difference that many people never learn. Real compassion flows from an open heart. People-pleasing flows from a frightened mind. From the outside, they can look almost identical. Both people smile. Both people help. Both people give. But inside, they are living completely different lives. One person gives because their heart is overflowing. The other gives because they are terrified of being rejected. One person says yes because they genuinely want to. The other says yes because they believe saying no will cost them love. This is where suffering quietly enters. Not through anger, not through hatred, but through fear, wearing the clothes of kindness. Imagine a beautiful tree growing beside a busy road. Every day, people pass beneath its branches. Some enjoy its shade, some pick its fruit. Some even break small branches without thinking. The tree continues giving. That is its nature. But imagine if every traveler demanded more. More fruit, more branches, more shade, until the tree was left with almost nothing. Eventually, the tree is still standing, but it no longer has the strength to bloom. Many people are living exactly like that tree. They continue giving long after their spirit has become exhausted, not because they have endless love, but because they no longer know where healthy kindness ends and self-abandonment begins. The tragedy is that most people never notice this happening. They believe exhaustion is proof of love. They believe sacrifice automatically makes them good. They believe constantly putting themselves last is a sign of wisdom. But the Buddha invited us to look more deeply. He asked us to observe the mind instead of blindly obeying it. And if you observe carefully, you begin to notice something surprising. Every time you ignore your own feelings, your mind remembers. Every time you silence your own truth, your mind learns another lesson. Every time you choose someone else's comfort instead of your own peace, the habit becomes stronger. At first, it feels like a choice. Later, it becomes your personality. Eventually, it feels impossible to live any other way. That is why so many people feel trapped. Not because someone locked them inside a prison, but because they slowly built one with thousands of tiny decisions they believed were acts of love. Think about how often you say, "It's okay," even when it isn't. Think about how often you tell yourself, "It doesn't matter," even though it matters deeply. Think about how many times you have remained silent, not because you had nothing to say, but because you were afraid your honesty might make someone uncomfortable. Each moment seems small, each sacrifice seems harmless, but a single drop of water appears harmless too. Yet over many years, even water can carve through solid stone. The same thing happens inside the human heart. Tiny moments of self-betrayal, repeated again and again, eventually reshape the entire person. One day, you wake up and wonder why you feel empty, why nothing excites you anymore, why you constantly feel tired even after resting, why you keep searching for peace but never seem to find it. Most people blame their job, their relationships, their circumstances. Sometimes those things play a role, but often the deepest exhaustion comes from carrying a version of yourself that was never real. Imagine wearing clothes that are 3 sizes too small. For 1 hour, you might tolerate the discomfort. For 1 day, it becomes exhausting. For 10 years, you forget what comfort even feels like. Living for other people's approval works the same way. At first, it feels manageable. Eventually, it becomes so normal that you mistake discomfort for life itself. You forget what it feels like to speak honestly. You forget what it feels like to choose without guilt. You forget what it feels like to wake up without wondering whether everyone else is happy with you. This is why the Buddha spoke so often about awareness, because awareness is the beginning of freedom. You cannot leave a prison until you realize you are inside one, and the prison of approval is especially dangerous. Its walls are invisible, its chains cannot be seen. No one forces you to wear them. You tighten them yourself, believing they will make people love you. But love that requires you to disappear is never love that brings peace. Real love never asks you to abandon your own heart. Real compassion never demands the destruction of your inner peace. The Buddha showed that true kindness begins within. A peaceful heart naturally shares peace. A frightened heart only shares fear disguised as kindness. So ask yourself something tonight. If nobody expected anything from you, if nobody judged your choices, if nobody needed your approval, who would you become? Would you still live the same life? Would you still make the same decisions? Or would you finally give yourself permission to breathe? Do not rush to answer. Sit quietly with the question, because that answer has been waiting inside you for years. And in the next lesson, you will discover why every time you ignore that quiet inner voice, your mind learns to leave you a little more. That hidden pattern changes everything, and once you see it, you will never look at people-pleasing in the same way again. Every time you abandon yourself, the mind makes it easier to do again. Have you ever promised yourself, this is the last time? The last time you would stay silent when something hurt you. The last time you would say yes when every part of you wanted to say no. The last time you would let someone cross a boundary you knew should never have been crossed. In that moment, you truly meant it. Your heart wanted to change. Your mind wanted peace. But then the next situation arrived. Someone asked too much of you. Someone expected you to fix their problems. Someone wanted your time, your energy, your attention. And before you even had a chance to think, the old answer came out. Of course. No problem. I'm happy to help. Later that night, you wondered why you had done it again, why changing felt so difficult, why your own promises seemed to disappear the moment someone else's expectations appeared. Most people believe this happens because they lack confidence. The Buddha pointed toward a deeper truth. The mind repeats whatever it believes keeps you safe, not necessarily what makes you happy, not necessarily what brings you peace. Only what it has learned will protect you from pain. That is why people-pleasing becomes so powerful. It is not simply a habit. It becomes a survival strategy. Years ago, perhaps saying yes prevented conflict. Perhaps staying quiet avoided criticism. Perhaps putting yourself last earned you affection. Your mind remembered those moments. It quietly concluded, if this kept me safe before, I must continue doing it. The strange thing about the mind is that it rarely asks, is this still true? It simply repeats yesterday's solution, even when today's life is completely different. Imagine a traveler walking through a forest. On the first day, he discovers a narrow path. It helps him avoid dangerous rocks and thick bushes. So the next day, he walks the same path. The day after that, he does it again. Months pass. Years pass. Eventually, the path becomes so familiar that he never notices the wide-open road that has appeared beside it. He continues squeezing through the narrow trail, not because it is the best way, but because it is the only way he remembers. The human mind works in exactly the same way. Every time you ignore yourself, the path becomes deeper. Every time you silence your truth, the trail becomes easier to follow. Every time you choose approval over authenticity, your mind says, this is the road we always take. One day, you no longer feel like you are making a decision. You simply react. Someone is upset. You immediately blame yourself. Someone is disappointed. You immediately try to fix it. Someone becomes distant. You immediately wonder what you did wrong. Notice what is happening. Other people's emotions begin controlling your own. Their happiness becomes your responsibility. Their comfort becomes your mission. Their approval becomes your measure of success. Without realizing it, you hand them the key to your peace. This is one of the deepest forms of attachment the Buddha warned about. Not attachment to money, not attachment to possessions, but attachment to how other people see you. Because once your identity depends on another person's opinion, your peace no longer belongs to you. It belongs to whoever is standing in front of you. Think about how exhausting that is. One compliment makes you feel valuable. One criticism makes you question yourself. One message fills you with hope. One unanswered text fills you with anxiety. Your inner world rises and falls, not because reality changes, but because your mind has tied your worth to someone else's reaction. That is not freedom. That is emotional dependence. The Buddha often reminded his disciples to observe the mind carefully, not to fight it, not to hate it, simply to watch it. Because the moment you observe a pattern, you are no longer completely controlled by it. Try noticing your next conversation. Pay attention to what happens inside you. Do you speak because your words are true, or because you hope they will make someone like you? Do you offer help because your heart feels generous, or because you fear being called selfish? These questions are uncomfortable, but discomfort is often the doorway to awakening. Imagine standing in front of a mirror that has collected dust for many years. At first, you cannot see your reflection, not because it disappeared, but because something is covering it. Most people try to replace the mirror. The Buddha suggested something much simpler: remove the dust. Your true nature has never left. It has only been buried beneath years of fear, years of guilt, years of trying to become the person everyone else wanted. Every act of awareness wipes away another layer. Every honest no cleans another corner. Every boundary built with wisdom allows a little more light to return. This does not happen overnight. Just as the habit was not created overnight, many people become frustrated because they expect instant transformation. They think, I understood the lesson yesterday. Why am I still struggling today? Because understanding is the first step. Practice is the second. Imagine trying to straighten a tree that has grown crooked for 20 years. You would never expect it to become straight in one afternoon. You would patiently support it, protect it, give it time. Your heart deserves that same patience. Do not criticize yourself every time old habits appear. Notice them, smile gently, and choose differently the next time. This is how freedom grows, not through perfection, but through awareness repeated again and again. Every time you choose honesty over performance, the old path becomes weaker. Every time you protect your peace without guilt, a new path begins to form. At first, it feels unfamiliar. It may even feel frightening. Some people will not understand your change. Some may call you distant. Others may accuse you of becoming selfish. Do not let those words confuse you. People often become uncomfortable when the version of you that always sacrificed itself begins to disappear. Not because your growth is wrong, but because your boundaries no longer serve their expectations. Remember this carefully. A person who truly values you will never require you to betray yourself in order to keep their affection. The people who love the real you will not disappear when you become honest. They will finally have the opportunity to know who you truly are. And those who only loved your endless sacrifice may quietly walk away. If they do, let them, because losing relationships built on self-abandonment is not losing your life. It is making space for a life built on truth. The Buddha taught that every attachment eventually asks a question: what are you willing to lose in order to keep me? For years, perhaps you answered, my peace, my voice, my authenticity, myself. Now, a different answer is possible, not through anger, not through rebellion, but through quiet awareness, through the simple courage of no longer leaving yourself behind, because the greatest relationship you will ever have is the one you build with your own heart. And in the next lesson, you will discover why the version of you that everyone applauds may actually be the version that is furthest away from your true self. That realization changes everything. The more they applaud your mask, the further you drift from your true self. There is a question that almost nobody dares to ask themselves. What if the version of you that everyone admires is not the real you? What if the person receiving all the compliments, all the appreciation, all the acceptance, is actually a character you have been performing for so long that even you have forgotten who is behind it? This is one of the quietest tragedies of the human life. Not that people reject who you truly are, but that they never get the chance to meet you at all. Because long before they arrived, you had already learned to wear a mask. The strange thing about masks is that they do not feel heavy at first. In the beginning, they feel useful. You become the person who never complains, the person who always understands, the one who always forgives, the one who always adjusts, the one who never asks for too much. People enjoy being around you. They describe you as easy, kind, reliable, selfless, and every compliment makes the mask fit a little tighter. Without realizing it, you begin protecting the mask more carefully than you protect your own heart, because now you are afraid. Afraid that if you remove it, people might stop loving you. This fear becomes stronger with every passing year. You no longer ask, what feels true? Instead you ask, what will keep everyone happy? You no longer speak from your heart. You speak from expectation. You no longer make decisions based on wisdom. You make them based on approval. Little by little, life becomes a performance. The Buddha often spoke about illusion. Many people think illusion only exists in the outside world, but one of the greatest illusions lives inside the human mind. It is the illusion that says, if they love the version I pretend to be, then I am finally enough. Look carefully. If someone loves a mask, have they truly loved you? Or have they loved the image you worked so hard to create? Imagine standing in front of a beautiful lake. The surface reflects the mountains perfectly. The trees appear complete. The sky looks endless. But if you reach down to hold the reflection, there is nothing there. It was never real. Approval built on pretending works exactly the same way. It looks satisfying from a distance, but it can never nourish the heart, because deep inside, you know the truth. You know how many times you swallowed your own feelings, how many times you laughed while carrying pain, how many times you accepted treatment that quietly broke your spirit. The applause sounds wonderful, but inside, a silent loneliness begins to grow. This loneliness is difficult to explain. You may be surrounded by friends, loved by family, respected by co-workers, yet something still feels empty. Why? Because people are connected to the version of you that keeps everyone comfortable, while your real heart remains hidden behind the curtain. The Buddha reminded us that everything false requires constant effort. Truth does not. Think about a flower. A flower never wakes up wondering how to impress the garden. It never changes its fragrance because another flower smells different. It never forces itself to bloom before its season arrives. It simply becomes what it already is. And because it is completely itself, it brings beauty without trying. Human beings often do the opposite. Instead of blooming naturally, we spend years decorating the leaves while the roots quietly weaken. We polish the outside. We neglect the inside. We become experts at looking peaceful while secretly feeling exhausted. The world rewards appearances, but peace is never found in appearances. Peace grows from alignment. Alignment means your words match your heart. Your actions match your values. Your kindness comes from love, not from fear. Ask yourself honestly, how many times have you entered a room already deciding which version of yourself people should see? Perhaps with your family, you become someone different. At work, someone else. With friends, another version. On social media, yet another. Eventually, you are carrying so many identities that you cannot remember which one is real. Imagine an actor who performs the same role every single day for 30 years. Morning, afternoon, night, never removing the costume, never leaving the stage. After enough time, would the actor still remember who they were before the performance began? This is what happens when people-pleasing becomes your identity. The role slowly replaces the person. The performance becomes normal. The mask becomes familiar. The real self waits quietly beneath layers of expectation. The painful part is that many people spend their entire lives protecting a version of themselves that never needed to exist. They become successful. They become admired. They become respected. Yet inside, they constantly feel like someone is missing. The person who is missing is them. This is why the Buddha encouraged people to sit in silence, not because silence itself is magical, but because silence removes the audience. When nobody is watching, the performance begins to fade. In those quiet moments, something remarkable happens. You begin hearing thoughts that were buried beneath years of pleasing others. You begin noticing dreams you ignored. You begin remembering parts of yourself that had almost disappeared. At first, this can feel uncomfortable. Many people avoid silence because silence introduces them to themselves, and meeting yourself after years of hiding can be both beautiful and painful. Beautiful, because you finally recognize your own heart again. Painful, because you realize how long you have lived without listening to it. Do not judge yourself for this. The purpose of awareness is never guilt. The purpose of awareness is freedom. Every moment you recognize the mask, its power becomes smaller. Every time you choose honesty instead of performance, the real self grows a little stronger. This does not mean speaking every thought that enters your mind. The Buddha never taught reckless honesty. He taught wise honesty, compassionate honesty, the kind of truth that does not wound others, but also refuses to wound yourself. There is an old image that beautifully captures this lesson. Imagine carrying a heavy backpack filled with stones. Every stone represents a role you accepted just to keep someone else's approval. The perfect child, the perfect friend, the perfect partner, the perfect employee, the person who never says no, the one who fixes everyone, the one who never asks for help. Year after year, the backpack becomes heavier. Eventually, you forget what it feels like to walk freely. Then one day, you stop. You open the backpack. You gently remove one stone. Nothing dramatic happens. The world continues turning. The sky does not fall. People continue living their lives. So you remove another stone, then another. With every stone you leave behind, your steps become lighter, your breathing becomes deeper, your smile becomes real again. This is how transformation happens. Not all at once. One honest choice at a time. One peaceful boundary at a time. One act of self-respect at a time. The greatest freedom is not convincing the world to accept you. The greatest freedom is no longer needing to pretend in order to deserve love. Because the moment you stop performing, you discover something extraordinary. The real you was never broken. The real you was never too much. The real you never needed to earn the right to exist. It was only waiting for you to stop hiding it. And yet, there is one invisible chain that still keeps millions of people trapped. It is even stronger than fear of rejection, even stronger than the need for approval. In the next lesson, you will discover why the desire to be accepted quietly becomes a prison without walls, and why most people spend their entire lives protecting the very cage that keeps them from true peace. The need to be accepted becomes a prison that no one else can see. Imagine waking up every morning, not asking yourself, "What kind of day do I want to live?" but instead asking, "What must I do today so nobody becomes disappointed with me?" Most people never notice they are asking this question because it has become automatic. It is no longer a thought. It has become the way they live. This is how invisible prisons are built, not with iron bars, not with locked doors, but with beliefs that quietly control every decision you make. The Buddha taught that the strongest chains are not the ones wrapped around the body, they are the ones wrapped around the mind, because a person with a free mind can remain peaceful even in difficult circumstances. But a person with a fearful mind can feel imprisoned, even in the middle of complete freedom. Look carefully at your own life. How many choices have you made simply because you were afraid someone might misunderstand you? How many dreams have you delayed because someone else might not approve? How many words have remained trapped inside your heart because speaking honestly felt too dangerous? The prison begins so quietly that most people mistake it for responsibility. They tell themselves, "I am just being nice. I don't want conflict. I only want everyone to be happy." These words sound kind, but hidden beneath them is often another voice, a quieter voice, a frightened voice, one that whispers, "If they become unhappy with me, maybe they will stop loving me." That single fear becomes the guard standing at the prison door. It watches every decision, every conversation, every relationship. Slowly, without realizing it, you stop asking what is true. You only ask what is safe. And when safety becomes more important than truth, peace quietly disappears. Imagine a bird that has lived inside a golden cage since the day it was born. The cage is beautiful. It is polished. It is admired by everyone who walks past. The bird receives food every day. It is protected from storms. It is safe. One day, the cage door is left open, but the bird does not fly away. Not because it cannot, because it no longer believes it can. Its prison is no longer made of metal. Its prison exists inside its own mind. Many people are living exactly like that bird. No one is forcing them to remain silent. No one is physically stopping them from saying no. No one is locking them inside unhealthy relationships. Yet they remain, not because they are weak, but because years of seeking approval have convinced them that freedom is dangerous. The Buddha understood something remarkable about the human mind. He knew that attachment is never only about the object. It is about the story the mind creates around the object. The attachment is not really to another person's approval. It is to the story that says, "I am only valuable if they accept me." That story becomes your reality. You begin measuring your worth by smiles, by compliments, by invitations, by messages, by whether someone chooses you. Notice how exhausting that is. Your peace changes every time another person's mood changes. If someone praises you, you feel alive. If someone criticizes you, your confidence disappears. If someone ignores you, your mind immediately searches for something you must have done wrong. Day after day, your emotional weather is controlled by people who may not even realize they have that power. Ask yourself, is that freedom, or is that another form of slavery? The Buddha never asked people to stop loving others. He asked them to stop becoming imprisoned by attachment. Because attachment quietly changes love into dependence. It changes kindness into fear. It changes generosity into self-erasure. Real love says, "I care for you." Attachment says, "I cannot be okay unless you approve of me." These two things may look similar from the outside, but they create completely different lives. Imagine standing in front of a mirror at a carnival. One mirror makes you appear taller, another makes you look smaller, another twists your body into strange shapes. No matter how many times you look, none of those mirrors reveal who you really are. Other people's opinions work the same way. One person sees you as amazing, another thinks you are selfish. Someone believes you are too quiet, someone else believes you talk too much. One admires your kindness, another calls the same kindness weakness. If your identity depends on these reflections, who are you really? The answer changes every time someone new enters your life. That is why chasing acceptance can never lead to lasting peace. You are trying to build a stable home. On moving water, the Buddha invited people to build their lives differently, not upon opinions, not upon praise, not upon fear, but upon awareness, because awareness remains steady, even when the world changes around you. Think about the mountains. The mountain does not become taller because people admire it. It does not become smaller because someone ignores it. It remains exactly what it is. Storms arrive. The mountain remains. Seasons change. The mountain remains. Clouds hide its peak. The mountain remains. This is the kind of stability Buddhism invites us to discover. Not a heart that never feels, but a heart that no longer depends on constant approval to remember its own worth. Now imagine carrying a bowl filled to the very top with water. You are asked to walk through a crowded marketplace. People shout, children run past, music plays, arguments break out. If your attention stays on every distraction, the water spills everywhere. But if your attention remains quietly centered, you continue walking without losing what you carry. Your peace is that bowl. Every time you give all your attention to someone else's opinion, a little more peace spills away. Eventually, you wonder why you feel empty. The truth is, you have been pouring yourself into every passing voice, without noticing your own bowl becoming dry. This is why awareness is so important. Awareness gently asks, who am I trying to satisfy right now? What am I afraid will happen if I disappoint this person? Is this choice coming from wisdom or from fear? These questions slowly unlock the prison door, not because they change the world, but because they change the one place where suffering begins, your own mind. Many people spend years trying to change everyone around them. The Buddha pointed in the opposite direction. He said, observe the observer, because when the observer changes, the entire experience of life changes with it. You begin noticing something extraordinary. Not everyone deserves unlimited access to your time. Not every request deserves a yes. Not every opinion deserves a place inside your heart. And most importantly, not every disappointment is your responsibility to carry. There is a quiet freedom in realizing someone can misunderstand you and you can still remain at peace. Someone can disagree with you and your worth remains untouched. Someone can walk away and you do not have to abandon yourself to make them stay. This is not coldness. This is wisdom. This is the kind of inner freedom the Buddha spoke about, a freedom that cannot be given by the world, and therefore cannot be taken away by the world. But there is still one final truth, the deepest realization of all, because letting go of approval is not the end of the journey, it is only the beginning. In the final lesson, you will discover what happens the moment you stop performing for the world and finally meet the person you were before fear taught you to hide. That meeting may become the most peaceful moment of your entire life. The moment you stop chasing approval, you return to the person you were always meant to be. There comes a quiet moment in every person's life, a moment that does not announce itself. There are no fireworks, no applause, No one congratulates you. From the outside, nothing seems to change. But inside, everything begins to change. It is the moment you become tired, not tired from work, not tired from responsibilities, but tired of carrying a version of yourself that was never real. You become tired of explaining yourself, tired of proving your worth, tired of wondering whether everyone is happy with you, tired of walking on invisible eggshells, afraid that one honest word might cause someone to leave. And for the first time, instead of asking, "How do I make everyone love me?" a different question quietly appears. What happens if I simply become myself? That question is the beginning of awakening. The Buddha never promised a life where everyone would understand you. He never promised that choosing wisdom would make you popular. He never taught that inner peace comes from pleasing the crowd. He taught something far more liberating. He taught that freedom begins the moment you stop asking the world to tell you who you are. Think about the sky. Clouds pass through it every single day. Some are dark, some are bright. Some carry storms, others carry sunlight. But none of them become the sky. They simply pass. In the same way, people's opinions pass through your life. Praise comes, criticism comes, acceptance comes, rejection comes, but none of these things define who you are. Only the mind believes they do. For years, perhaps you lived as though every opinion was a mirror. Someone praised you, so you felt valuable. Someone ignored you, so you felt invisible. Someone criticized you, so you questioned everything about yourself. You spent your life collecting reflections, without ever meeting the one who was looking into the mirror. The Buddha invited us to turn around, not toward another person, not toward another relationship, not toward another achievement, but toward awareness itself. Because awareness asks a question that changes everything. Who is the one seeking approval? Sit with that question. Do not answer too quickly. Notice what happens inside you. There is a part of you that has spent years chasing acceptance, and there is another part, the quiet observer, who has simply been watching. The observer has never been broken. It has never become less worthy because someone rejected you. It has never become greater because someone admired you. It has simply been there, waiting patiently for you to notice it. Imagine standing beside a river after a heavy storm. The water is muddy, fast, restless. You cannot see the bottom. If you jump into it, you are carried wherever the current decides. But if you simply sit beside the river, without fighting it, without chasing it, the water slowly begins to settle, hour by hour. The mud sinks. The surface becomes clear. Suddenly, you can see all the way to the bottom. Your mind is no different. For years, you have been jumping into every opinion, every expectation, every fear, every criticism, every compliment. You allowed each one to carry you away. The Buddha gently says, sit on the riverbank, observe. Let the current pass. The more you observe, the less it controls you. This is why awakening is not about becoming someone new. It is about stopping the endless effort to become someone you were never meant to be. Most people spend their lives searching for themselves. They travel to different places. They chase different relationships. They change careers. They collect achievements. They believe the next destination will finally make them feel complete. But the person they are searching for never left. Imagine a sculptor standing before a huge block of marble. Someone asks him, "How will you create something so beautiful?" The sculptor smiles and replies, "I am not creating anything. I am simply removing everything that does not belong." The Buddha's path is much like that. You do not become peaceful by adding more to yourself. You become peaceful by removing what never belonged. The fear that your worth depends on others. The belief that saying no makes you selfish. The habit of apologizing for simply existing. The endless need to explain yourself. The desperate hope that everyone will understand you. Piece by piece, these illusions begin to fall away, and underneath them, you discover someone surprisingly familiar. The child who laughed without worrying who was watching. The heart that loved without pretending. The mind that was curious instead of afraid. The person who existed long before approval became an addiction. That person has been waiting for you all along. Many people fear this moment. They ask, if I stop pleasing everyone, won't I lose people? Perhaps. Some people may leave. Some relationships may quietly fade. Some doors may close. But ask yourself another question. If someone only stays because you constantly abandon yourself, did they ever truly stay for you? Or were they staying for the version of you that made life easier for them? Real love does not ask you to disappear. Real friendship does not require endless self-sacrifice. Real respect is never built upon fear. The people who truly belong in your life may not always agree with you, but they will never ask you to betray your own heart just to keep their affection. And those who walk away because you finally found your voice were never walking beside your soul. They were walking beside your silence. The Buddha once taught that attachment is like holding a burning torch by the wrong end. The longer you refuse to let go, the more deeply you burn yourself. People-pleasing is one of those burning torches. You think you are protecting love, but often you are only protecting fear. The day you finally put that torch down, your hands begin to heal. For the first time in years, you breathe without asking permission. You rest without feeling guilty. You speak without rehearsing every sentence. You help others because your heart wants to, not because your fear demands it. This is not selfishness. This is freedom guided by wisdom. Imagine walking through a vast forest just before sunrise. For hours, everything has been covered in darkness. You could only guess where the path might be. Every step felt uncertain. Every sound made you afraid. Then, slowly, the first light appears. The forest itself has not changed. The trees are the same. The path is the same. The world is the same. The only thing that changed was the light that allowed you to finally see clearly. Awareness is that light. It does not change who you are. It reveals who you have always been. And when you finally see yourself clearly, you stop begging the world to define you. You no longer chase every person's approval. You no longer fear every disagreement. You no longer carry the impossible responsibility of making everyone happy. Instead, you begin living from a place the Buddha called true freedom, a freedom that cannot be bought, cannot be borrowed, cannot be taken away, because it was never given by anyone else. It was already within you. Perhaps this is why the greatest journey in Buddhism has never been about traveling across the world. It has always been about traveling inward, returning to the place you unknowingly left behind, returning to the heart that still knows peace, returning to the awareness that has silently watched every joy, every mistake, every disappointment, without ever stopping its quiet presence. So before this moment ends, ask yourself one final question. If tomorrow you no longer needed anyone's permission to be yourself, how would you live? Who would you become? What would you finally stop carrying? Do not answer with your mind. Listen with your heart. Because somewhere beneath years of fear, years of performance, years of trying to be enough for everyone, there is still a quiet voice. It has never shouted. It has never demanded attention. It has simply waited. patiently, lovingly, for the day you would finally come home. And perhaps that day is today. If today's teaching spoke to your heart, take a quiet moment before you leave. Close your eyes, take one slow breath, and ask yourself, where in my life have I been abandoning myself just to keep someone else comfortable? Do not judge the answer. Simply become aware of it, because awareness is the first step toward freedom. The Buddha taught that peace is never found by becoming someone else. It is found by returning to who you truly are. Thank you for sharing this moment of mindfulness with me. If this wisdom helped you see yourself more clearly, please leave a comment with the words, "I choose inner peace." It is a small promise to yourself, and it may inspire someone else who needs these words today. If you're seeking more timeless Buddhist wisdom to quiet the mind, heal the heart, and awaken your true self, be sure to subscribe to Golden Lotus Wisdom and join us on this journey inward. Until next time, protect your peace, honor your true nature, and remember, the moment you stop living for everyone else is the moment you finally begin living for yourself.